What if I told you, the 1% are not smarter than you? They are not working harder than you. They do not have a secret that you are too broke to buy. What they have is a system, and that system has been sitting in plain sight, hidden inside tax codes, trust documents, and boardroom conversations that nobody ever invited you to. Right now, as you watch this, $124 trillion is quietly changing hands between generations, the largest wealth transfer in the history of the world. And the 1% already know exactly what they are going to do with it. The question is, what are you going to do? Because here's what most people don't realize. You don't have to be born into the 1% to think like them, to move like them, to build like them. You just have to know what they know. My name is Marco Valenti, and today, I'm handing you the blueprint. Right now, as you are watching this video, the single largest transfer of wealth in human history is underway. $124 trillion is projected to change hands between generations by 2048. To put that in perspective, the entire US economy, the GDP, was $27 trillion in 2023. This transfer is 4 times that. Millennials alone are projected to receive $46 trillion over the next 25 years, more than any generation in history. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. But here is the part that the headlines won't tell you. Only 1 in 5 baby boomers actually plan to leave an inheritance. Yet 32% of millennials and 38% of Gen Z are counting on receiving one. Do that math right now in your head. The majority of people waiting are going to be waiting for something that was never coming. And even for those who do inherit, studies show more than a third of heirs lose it all within the first 2 years. The window is open, the transfer is happening, but if you are not building, if you are not ready, that $124 trillion passes right through your hands and into the hands of the prepared. You want to know how not to build generational wealth? Let me show you 4 families who had everything and left almost nothing. The Vanderbilts. Cornelius Vanderbilt built a railroad and shipping empire worth, in today's dollars, roughly $200 billion. He was once the richest man in America. By the 1970s, the fortune was essentially gone. Extravagant spending on mansions, gambling, no structure, no discipline, no system. When CNN anchor Anderson Cooper, Cornelius Vanderbilt's great-great-great-grandson, lost his mother, Gloria, he inherited $1.5 million. From $200 billion to $1.5 million in 5 generations. The Astors. John Jacob Astor built a fur trading and New York real estate empire worth over $110 billion adjusted, making him the richest man in America in the early 1800s. By the mid-20th century, the fortune had vanished, consumed by lifestyle, family feuds, and mismanagement across the Atlantic. The Onassis Empire. Aristotle Onassis, one of the wealthiest men on earth, built a global shipping dynasty. After his son died young, bitter succession battles tore the family apart. Legal fees, infighting, tragedy. By the time the last direct heir came of age, most of the fortune was gone. The Gucci family. They built one of the most iconic luxury brands on the planet. And today, the Gucci family has no stake in the company that bears their name. Family conflict, betrayal, criminal trials. They lost it all from the inside out. These are not obscure families. These are the most famous dynasties in history, and every single one of them failed for the same reasons. No structure, no governance, no education passed down, and no plan. Part 1 gave you the 5 pillars. Today, I'm going deeper. These are the tools that wealthy families actually use, that most people never even hear about. Tool 1, the Dynasty Trust. In 2026, Dynasty trusts and family limited partnerships have surged in popularity among high net worth families, and for good reason. A dynasty trust is an irrevocable trust designed to pass wealth, generation to generation, while minimizing estate and transfer taxes. Assets in the trust are protected from creditors, lawsuits, and divorce. The grantor sets the rules, meaning they decide how and when the heirs receive the money. No more grandchildren blowing the inheritance in 2 years. The trust enforces the discipline, long after you're gone. Tool 2, the gift tax annual exclusion. Right now, in 2026, you can gift up to $19,000 per person, per year, completely tax-free. A married couple, $38,000 per person, per year. That is a legal transfer of wealth to your children or grandchildren, with 0 tax consequences. Most people don't even know this exists. Start using it now. Tool 3, REITs. Real estate is the most powerful wealth-building vehicle in history. But not everyone can buy a property tomorrow. That is where REITs come in. Real estate investment trusts, which allow you to invest in income-producing real estate with no landlord headaches. Only 17% of Americans have ever used or considered a REIT. That is a wide-open door for those paying attention. Tool 4. Life insurance inside a trust. The ultra-wealthy don't buy life insurance to replace income. They use it as a tax-free vehicle inside a trust to pass wealth to heirs without the taxable estate eating it alive. Life insurance can be used to pay estate taxes, buy out business partners, or stay in the trust and compound across generations. This is not just insurance. It is architecture. Nobody talks about this, and they should. Credit is one of the most powerful and most misunderstood wealth tools available to anyone, not just the rich, anyone. The wealthy use credit, not because they don't have cash, but because they understand leverage. They borrow at low interest rates to deploy capital into assets that return more than the cost of borrowing. A HELOC, home equity line of credit, lets you borrow against the equity you've already built to invest in additional real estate or fund a business at rates far lower than any personal loan. Business credit, established correctly, allows your entity to borrow, separate from your personal credit, protecting your personal assets while expanding your business. And here's the thing about credit that changes everything. A strong credit profile is a transferable asset. Teach your children to build and protect their credit early, and you are handing them a leverage tool that most people spend their entire adult lives trying to repair. Credit is not a trap. If you understand it, it is a catapult. I want to tell you something that a study from JP Morgan published in 2026 confirmed. 87% of Gen Z and millennials say they value family wealth conversations, but 30% find it hard to even start the conversation because of generational communication gaps, and the cost of that silence is catastrophic. Only 14% of adults have ever had a detailed conversation about inheritance. Only 36% have ever even mentioned wealth transfer to a family member. The families that survive across generations do one thing differently. They sit down together. They talk about the money. They establish values, expectations, and a shared vision. The Rockefellers, who are still one of the wealthiest families in the world, over 150 years later, across 70 living heirs, did not stay wealthy by accident. They held family councils. They built governance structures. They created a shared identity around the family's financial legacy. One meeting, the right meeting, can change the trajectory of your entire bloodline. Schedule it. Have it. Your family is worth the conversation. Let me leave you with this. Every civilization, in every era, has watched great fortunes rise and fall. The Vanderbilts, the Astors, the Guccis, the Onassis Empire, gone. But also, the Rockefellers, the Waltons, the Johnsons, S.C. Johnson, a family business now in its 5th generation, run by a multi-billionaire descendant of the man who started it. The difference was never the size of the fortune. It was the decision to treat wealth as a system, not a reward, as an institution, not a windfall, as a responsibility, not an inheritance to be spent. $124 trillion is changing hands right now. The question is not whether you'll be part of that transfer. The question is, which side of that transfer will you be on? Build the trust, have the meeting, weaponize the credit, leverage the tools, break the cycle, do this. And the 3-generation wealth loss does not apply to your bloodline. That is the elite grind. If this hit, smash that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment. What generation of wealth are you building? 1, 2, or are you already thinking Dynasty? I'll see you in the next one. Oh, real quick. Everything shared on this channel is for educational and informational purposes only. I am not a licensed financial or legal advisor. Always do your own research, and when you're ready to make the big moves, work with a qualified professional who knows your specific situation. I gave you the game. What you do with it is on you. Stay focused, stay consistent, and stay elite.